What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another film breakdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first prospect of our 2021 draft class. Not number one on everybody's board, probably number one on nobody's board. And, in all honesty, Mac Jones isn't the number one prospect for me when I start looking at this draft class, but I do think that he's a lot better than people think. There's some obvious, pushbacks on the Mac Jones argument, and I understand them, right? He had superior talent around him. Obviously, Alabama is going to be one of the more talented teams in the entire nation year in and year out. However, he does do some very, very good things with the football. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And I want to highlight a couple of things about Mac Jones that I think make him a very desirable quarterback prospect. Now, before I dive into all of that, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. That would mean the world to both of us. I'm also going to plug my music guide down in the description below. If anybody out there is a YouTuber or whatever and they want some custom-made beats, my boy Max Keys can hook you up. Now, talking about Mac Jones, first and foremost, this dude put up insane stats at Alabama. 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay, now, there are some obvious pushbacks about Mac Jones, like I stated earlier. He has incredible talent around him at every level, right? Running back's going to be a top guy in the nation. The entire offensive line is going to be tops in the nation, and we all know about that Alabama receiving corps. They're fast, they're athletic, they run incredible routes, they create separation, absolutely. But let's not take anything away from Mac Jones. He is one of the most accurate deep ball throwers in this draft class. I have zero problem saying that. He is incredible with his deep ball accuracy, and that's very, very valuable for an NFL team. Let's be honest here. That's incredibly valuable. And it's not just his deep ball that he's accurate with. His quick game, his intermediate game, all of that stuff is very on point with his balls. Very seldomly do you see a receiver break stride to catch a football from Mac Jones. Everything is in the bucket. Everything's on the money. Doesn't matter where the throw is, if it's going deep, outside the numbers, whatever. Now, obviously, he has that, feather in his cap of that talent, right? And that talent's going to create that separation. So at some point, you're just dropping deep balls like you're playing Road to Glory in NCAA 14. I get that. But when you look at some of these back shoulders he's throwing outside the numbers, when you look at, where he's putting these balls over backers, all of it is very, very impressive and things that stand out to an NFL team. So let's go through first and foremost what stood out to me, which was his deep ball accuracy. His throws downfield, and he's gotten a big arm. He's completing some big time footballs in this. And so the clips that I have here, a little bit from his A&M game against Georgia, LSU, and then I think I take a couple of throws from his national championship game against Ohio State. But this kid's just on the money with everything he does when it's going downfield, right? We see this ball right here. A lot of times we'll see guys throw this football, and this dude has to slow down to make that catch, which means that this defensive back is going to be able to catch up with him. He's going to be able to make a play on this football. That ball's right in stride, though. We see right here a little double move from this receiver. I think that's Jalen Waddle, not 100% sure. But once again, this ball is on the money, in the bucket, zero problem going and picking that catch up, right? Again, right here, this ball's on the money. We got a defensive back with his arm right there, but this ball's right in the bucket, over that shoulder, right where you want to see it. It's not back into the field of play, close to a safety, none of that. That thing's on the money, in the bucket for a touchdown. We see right here the exact same thing. This throw, to me, is a little bit more impressive, though, because we got pressure in our face right here. We got pressure coming off the edge. We give a little chip right here. Tackle's got to see that and work out to it. Steps up into the pocket. I mean, it is a great ball. Right? It's into the field right now. For the last throw that I showed you guys, over the shoulder is kind of where we wanted that. However, here we know that there's no safety in the middle of the field. Maybe they were playing cover 0, cover 1. That ball is right on the money for a touchdown. And in this situation right here against LSU, it's the exact same thing, man. I mean, there's no slowing down from these guys now. And again, the pushback is going to be, well, those guys are faster than everybody else. Absolutely. But the fact that they're faster makes that throw harder. Right? And that's the practice and the reps that you don't see on TV every Saturday. That's what that means, that he's doing a great job with that. Now, the second thing that I love to see, and what I mean by doing a great job with that, is that there's that chemistry there. Obviously, these guys are practicing, hours upon hours a week, and in the preseason and spring, all of that stuff. But The fact that those guys are faster means you got to throw that ball farther, which makes that throw harder to make. And Mac Jones has a big arm, and that's something that not a lot of people are talking about. Now, here's the second thing that really stood out to me is his accuracy on balls outside the numbers, right? Really outside the hash to outside the numbers. This is impressive to me, and this is something that we don't see from a lot of guys. But we look at this throw right here to 87. This is a back shoulder, lofted back shoulder. That's a tough ball. That's a tough ball to throw, right? Defensive back's got his back turned, put that thing up there. Worst case scenario, that thing's knocked away, but your receiver's got a chance to catch it and brings it in. And he does this time and time again. Now, Alabama's offense is very, very simple. Very simple. And Steve Sarkisian, was kind of facing Coach Purgatory there for a little bit, revived his career under Nick Saban. Now he's going to coach Texas. Dude's a good offensive coordinator. I will tell you that much. He's got some really cool stuff in the bank, and I'm excited to see what he can do at Texas. But with this throw right here, right, we got a little wheel coming out of the backfield. Bama runs this all the time, where they have mesh right here. You're going to have a hunt into the middle of the field, and then I think this dude pushes deep on a post. But off of that, we also have our wheel right here. Now, Mac Jones does a really good job of throwing this wheel to his running back out of the backfield. But once again, this is a lofted back shoulder throw. This is not an easy throw to make. This is not a throw that every quarterback can make. That's a tough throw. Right, we got to loft that thing, right? A lot of times with back shoulders, you see guys just laser it to him, right? Especially if he's got a guy outside here, corner's playing off, we can laser that thing to his back shoulder. With this throw to Najee Harris out of the backfield, we have to loft this thing, so that way the only chance that this guy has to make is if he's turning and running, right? If he turns and he sees that ball and he can knock it away. But more than likely, our running back or our receiver is going to be able to get up there and make that catch. It's just time and time again he does this, right? He does this against Georgia right here, down 7. This is a big throw for him. Steps up into the pocket, lofted back shoulder, right there to 87. Really good job, man. This kid is insanely accurate with his throwing, and it's something that not a lot of people talk about. Now with this throw right here, right, there's another one. Off of that play action, we have 17 working here, makes it look like he's running that crosser and then breaks this thing back to the outside. Really cool play. But what I love about this is that we have to get over this defender right here. We got to put this ball over a backer. Once again, tough throw to make that not a lot of people can. Puts that thing over the shoulder, great catch, right? We look at this play against Ohio State, same thing, okay? We have to put this over a defender. Now, more than likely, he was, obviously, not more than likely, he was running man right there, but still, this is an opposite hash throw to the out. That's a tough ball, man. That's a long way for that football to go. He puts that thing on the dime to Devontae Smith. He does this time and time again. And then looking at a little bit of his quick game right here, not something that really Alabama needed to dive into their pocket for, right? They didn't really need to hit their quick game because they were so much faster than everybody on the outside. But when Mac Jones gets to the NFL, these are throws that he's going to have to make, right? Here we see his receiver at the bottom just rolling into that speed out, ball's on the money, that quick game, that ball's got to be out quick. Right? And you see teams that kind of where he can fit in. I immediately think of New England with that need for quarterback. I don't necessarily think that they'll go with a rookie, but when you see what this kid can do with his quick game and also stretching the field, that kind of fits to what New England wants, right? They want to hit their quick game. That's the biggest thing with Cam Newton is the fact that his quick game isn't up to their schedule, right? It's not up to par for them. A lot of times he's rushing throws, he's seeing pressure late, which is why a lot of those throws are inaccurate. But with Mac Jones, we see these balls are on the money, he's seeing pressure well. Now also Mac Jones is very, very well coached, right? As we see with a lot of kids, that it can be a problem, right? Especially when you get to college. A lot of times coaches are just going to let kids go, right? Let him go, he's more talented than everybody else. But when we start talking about some of the things that, don't bode well for Mac Jones, and it's really none of them are his fault, right? There's nothing that I look at Mac Jones with his game and I'm like, the one thing is that he's not the most athletic dude, right? But we've seen guys who aren't that athletic play really well in the NFL, i.e. Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not the greatest athlete in the world. Peyton Manning's not the greatest athlete in the world, guys like that. And that's not the new hot thing for quarterbacks. The new hot thing for quarterbacks is the Kyler Murrays, the Patrick Mahomes, these incredibly athletic dudes who can get out of trouble when they need it. However, with a well-built offense that's heavy on their quick game and can unleash some deep balls once in a while to keep defenses honest, a dude like Mac Jones is going to fit in pretty well. Okay, so the couple of things that I think that bode against him is the fact that the talent around him was so good, and it's something that we do have to acknowledge, right? Yes, he had the best of the best talent at Alabama, but we've seen other quarterbacks come out of Alabama who have that talent not do well, right? We've seen the A.J. McCarrons, the Greg McElroys. That's going to be a stigma that he has to shake off. He needs to go to the NFL and still produce with the talent around him, and when the talent against him is just as good. That's going to be a really interesting thing for me. And Alabama runs pretty similar to a pro style offense at this point, right? All of them know how to go under center when they need to. Obviously, their offense has changed a lot since it was, the Greg McElroy and AJ McCarron days. They don't go as much under center. Now they're much more pistol and gun oriented. But that's one of those things that I do think has, for me, it's never made sense. Alabama quarterbacks should always be ready to go for the NFL. This is one other throw that I haven't hit on yet. This is in the end zone. Tough throw to make in the back of the end zone right here. You got to put that ball on that baseline of the end zone, right? Put it up there so only your receiver can get it, which he does. Receiver gets his foot in. But again, it's that talent that he has around him that we have to acknowledge. The other thing was his athleticism, which I kind of already hit on. But besides that, honestly, guys, where are we seeing the lapse of judgment with Mac Jones? And he's going to be the guy that falls. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you Mac Jones is a dude that you can build a franchise around, because he's not going to be able to cover up for a lot of other areas where you are deficient, right? He's going to be a guy who I think can go into a situation like New England. I don't know, maybe like in New Orleans as well, right? If Drew Brees retires and they don't want to go with Taysom Hill, throw Mac Jones in there. Maybe he could do some things with Michael Thomas and that superior talent around him. But I do think that Mac Jones is not getting a fair shake in this year's draft, right? He's probably going to fall to the second or third round, maybe even later. And it makes sense, right? You see the guys like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence and, Trey Lance, who's an absolute freak in nature. All those guys, and Zach Wilson, another one who's got superior talent, but I got a video coming out on him in the next couple of days. So anyway, guys, I think Mac Jones is a lot better than people are leading on. He's definitely a guy that I'm interested in to see how he does in the NFL. And we'll see what happens once he gets drafted. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'll be back in the week with some more content. I hope everybody's staying safe, washing those hands, and I will see you next time.